society. It's great.
So is that you? I'm David Moore. I was the one that wrote about the career AI.
Oh, great! Yeah. I was hoping you would show up. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it. How do you want to do this?
Yeah.
So I'm prepared to speak about it, but you guys have other things you need to do.
Yeah. So this would be interesting for everyone else to hear too, so they can know what we do and what we do. But I figure you and I could just chat now, but then afterwards we can also have a conversation. But so we primarily work as a resume service to help people to land jobs through resumes and LinkedIn profiles. Now,
You're gonna love me.
yeah. In terms of like your idea, one of the reasons why we came to Capital Factory is because we wanted to connect with people who are tech and software development focused, and because these applicant tracking systems suck. They're the worst. They're one of the reasons why a lot of people are not getting interviews, is because their resumes are just getting screened out by robots essentially.
100 out of 106. I can give you some measures tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Except for mine. I got the second round every time. I'll show you how.
Right. Yeah. You
Is that on there?
Yeah.
Our AI against their AI.
Yeah, even if your bug has a screen reader, you still have to combine the wording. Well, especially the adequate part of wording.
Yeah.
From the DS words, I am a compassionate individual who do with blah blah blah, and then the human screen will say, oh, what's total BS, what's
Right.
HR.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of that.
So you got to play both angles, right? You got to play the keywords angle, and also remember at the same time the human's going to eventually read it and make the decision. And you're exactly right. So, but yeah, so I mean that's us, and we at one point had partnered with a software developer who said he was going to be able to work with us and help game the resume in ways to help improve algorithms, but he since then got another software developer job and dropped that project altogether. But you said you've been working on this for
Over a year.
Over a year, yeah.
And so had a real interesting thing happen yesterday. So I'm kind of talking to Indeed because I want access to their data, because I'm a data scientist. So if I get a grab of their data, then I can help you guys out immensely. So this started a year ago because my company's been around for about 14 years, and we do data projects for companies, all kinds of data projects. But I have a lot of friends that are looking for jobs, and I started having the algorithm issue, right, where you start, and then I started looking at the numbers, and I'll just put it out there. I'm super big on inclusivity and diversity and how it drives innovation. It's something I got from my mother, and she passed away. So this is like one of those very important things to me that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I'm super happy about my company. My company's been 50-50 in sexual diversity, orientation diversity, racial diversity. You pick it, we've got everybody, right? And so that's been like one of the most amazing things. But I think it's made us amazing also. So with all that, and being a data scientist and I was actually kind of looking for work. I went through the same thing I guess all you guys did, where I filled all the resumes and got no responses. And I said, well, this is kind of weird because I know my assets are great. Now I also know that some of the best employees that I've ever hired their resumes don't show that.
Right.
They're not resume hirings, right? And I'm thinking right now, Casella, she's absolutely amazing. But when she came in, she had written a lick of code. She didn't know anything about coding. I had, we trained her on everything, and it was well worth the investment. So what I wanted to do, and because it's kind of fun, is I wanted to build you guys in AI. Now what's been interesting is everybody tells me, well, applicants have no money, so you can't make any money on it. So I don't know how that's going to work, but right now I don't care because it's not costing me a lot. I'm using this for other tools.
Sure.
So what I have is I can show you, can I connect in there or something? What I can do is I can show you what the prototype right now, and then I'll have to send you out an email sometime in the next couple of weeks with a login so you guys can log in. And what I ask is that you go ahead and log in and use the tool. If you get stuck or frustrated or anything, contact me personally, and because In software, you guys are going to tell me way more than I could ever think of myself, right? So you guys are going to be my experts. You're going to guide me. So please just let me know if anything you guys. But basically, what it does 3 different things. The first thing you do is you enter your history. And since it's AI, it doesn't care what format you do. So if you have like just if you want to sit down, no points off for spelling or formatting, just sit down and write out, this is the job I did, these are the results I had. This probably feeds really right into what you're doing. And just post it in there. And what you'll do is you'll create a job history. You can put 1 or more in. And then put in your resume. And then identify which jobs you want and put those in. And what it will do is it'll take your resume, it'll analyze all the job classification, all the job postings. It'll pull out all the common terms, and it'll make sure that your resume matches those terms, right? It'll give you a list down at the bottom, I can show you. It'll give you a little list down at the bottom of terms you might want to put in. Now, I will tell you, this will get you through, if you're even slightly qualified for the position, you will get through to the person. But don't stop using the tool at that point. When you talk to that person, right, you're going to have your resume there organized and everything. What I did was I paid attention to the terms, the common terms, because lots of times when you talk to that first person, they don't know nothing. They're brand new to this, they're still learning this. So if you use those words down at the bottom and make sure you cover each of those steps, then you can help them through your interview. The first person you talk to is usually like a screener, and they're going to have a checklist. If you say all the words, they're just going to check them off because they don't know what they mean anyway. And then the second person is going to be somebody who's a little bit deeper or somebody you might work for.
Right.
And you can cover all those. Now what I've found, even at my level, right, senior guy, they've never been trained on how to interview, right? So they'll talk about their golf game or something else, and the thing is that you have to actually kind of be the interviewer. So you have to, I was at lunch today with a guy that's looking to do me for a job, and I had to spoon feed him my resume bit by bit because he wasn't asking me the right questions. And so I'd always, whatever he said, I would forget, oh, that's like the project I did for the White Touche, or oh, that's the project I did at Hidden Soil. You know, you have to guide through, but in my head, I was thinking of this list, making sure that I did things like data science and data engineering and all the terms I have. So that's what I can offer you. I can show you how it looks right now, and maybe you guys can tell me a better way to do it.
So we'll be the
Yeah, guinea pigs. But listen, guys, I so appreciate you taking your time to do this because, like I said, this is like super important to me. But okay, I get shows here. I gotta wait to do this. How's this? Okay, good luck here.
Hey, good to see you.
All right. So what you'll do is like, and this is just a very, very simple. This is a very, very simple interface. But you'll put your resume here, okay? And then what it will do is it'll look at the other jobs and give you a line. And the further the line goes, the better your resume matches, right? And we're using a better algorithm than they actually use on their side, okay? So know that if you can get your blue pretty far over, you're going to be, and you guys can all pass it around and look if you want, you guys are going to be pretty well off. This is an AI resume alignment, right? But what I want to do is I don't want to just have the resume side. I want to have a longer relationship with you guys, because what I want to do is I want you guys to enter your work history as it happens, and you learn stuff, because what I want to do is compare you against everybody else in the market and tell you what your skills are, right? You may want to, like I'm a data scientist, so maybe I don't know some kind of Bitcoin or one of those, right? Chain ledgers. Maybe I should learn that, right? And so I take a chain ledger class or anything and I enter it in the system. So the next time I look for a job, and the other thing, and the reason why I'm talking to Indeed next week is I want to find out what your all salaries are, what the market salaries are on average. Because my thought is we align your skills with these salaries, you can walk in and know what you're worth. And so, because my whole purpose behind this and I found another woman who's doing the same thing I'm doing from a different angle. But my whole purpose behind this is to remove bias from the interview process. And I hate to tell you that as a data scientist, I will tell you now that all these algorithms are biased. Okay? And it's not fair, but they're an oligopoly, just like OPEC was with oil. There's 2 or 3 really big guys. They're going to do whatever they want to do. They're all in collusion with each other. Yeah, exactly, right. But it's more of the case that they don't have to change, right? Until it gets disrupted, everything's going to be just fine until somebody comes along and says, hey, there's a better way and it's more effective.
Yeah, because they monopolize the industry.
Yeah, it costs money to change. And so that's why they're talking to me next week to see how much I spent. But I ran the algorithm on this. There's over $1 million worth of software underneath this. So what I'll do is that's my plan. So next week I'm going to roll this out to all the Capital Factory members in the next couple of weeks, and to you guys as well. I'll make sure to get your mail list.
Sure, yeah.
And so you guys get in and bang on it and see what happens and does all this. Like I said, I'm super excited. Everybody will show this too. So this is really cool. So.
Thanks for demonstrating.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for having me down here.
Yeah.
And just keep it up, because I was right where you were just a while ago, and your persistence is what. But yeah, man, 106 resumes to get one interview.
Wow.
That's insane.
But it worked for you, though. That's the.
Well, yeah, but and that's the other thing, right? Is that probably we'll get the first 100 or 200 or 300, because then they'll say, "Oh, you're gaming the system." But what I'm hoping is by that time, we'll have built the system out enough so that you guys can actually build your skill sets and go, "Oh, I want this job. I need this skill." And make sure you have that on your resume and a way to do that. And so I don't know where you guys fit in, but I'm more than happy to work with you. However, I want to do on resume build or anything like that, because there's a lot of really good ideas out there that I haven't talked to yet.
Sure.
And I'm a noob. I don't know any of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
So you guys are probably gonna, y'all be some rocket fuel that I need to
Yeah.
get this going.
Yeah. The good news is we do have that sample population that you were talking about earlier.
Do you really?
We get dozens and dozens of resumes every single week, and these are all people who are trying to do
okay.
So
This is really cool. Okay.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're always trying to find ways to help our clients to optimize their resume to get a job. So that's why my ears perked up when you sent the message. So definitely want to connect with you, and I really would like.
You have my contact information, right?
I have.
And I'll change this back to you guys.
I need your card.
Let me see if I have cards here. That's mine. Yeah, I think it has my email. And of course, all of you guys are welcome to contact me at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's pass them out until they're gone. Right. Oh, no, you guys are in.
And I think that's part of the.
We'll see. If it has legs, this will definitely be a really interesting product.
I think I ever pass your their business card bill scan. They will pass you their business card.
Oh yeah, I have tons of
To
them.
read the resume,
Yeah,
also
business card.
incorporate into
All right,
the
let's have
conversation
it.
during the interview. Kind of guide the interview process.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best part. That's the best. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
the only problem is not only like the complaint is that, like you mentioned, has to deal with the algorithm screener. Also, maybe other buyers, interviewer. Also, have to contend with the required experience as well. It's quite a better job.
Is it Chinese?
Yes.
So do you speak Mandarin?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm learning Mandarin, and my exchange student is from Taiwan.
My English is fine.
Oh yeah, right.
It'd be easier.
Well, when I saw that, I said, "Oh, that's probably Taiwanese." But now,
Yes,
yeah, it's awesome.
Kind of similar, very similar.
Yeah, because Taiwanese, you have both names. You have your, I guess there's your Englishized and Anglicized.
Yeah, where were you guys?
Yeah.
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 No. I'm here at Apple Factory.
Yeah.
I'm running, right now, I have my own company that we're starting up. I also am a CTO in another company as well. So don't worry, when you
put you in, I'll remember your name, and make sure to check out your resume. If I can find it, you're welcome. Okay, LinkedIn's awesome.
For every question that's going to ask.
Yes. Oh, sure. Okay, cool. I'm there. So send me an invite. I'll be sure to answer you.
Like a mega blog.
And Davis and Matt, by the way. Can I just come by? Work with Chris on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that way it generates more traffic.
So, yeah, okay, so let's eat grandma like a company.
That's our company, yeah.
So what do you guys do?
YouTube always helps.
So we've been in existence for about 4 years. And so we've been actually seriously helping people land a lot of positions.
So recruiters?
No. So we help exclusive from the applicant side, the candidate side.
You really?
Yeah, yes, sir.
We're
Wow.
YouTube is not my strength. I'm more focused on the podcast and stuff.
Possible to keep them on.
Funny enough,
it's hard.
Otherwise we would be here.
Right.
And I mean, we've been doing well for ourselves. Content season,
Yeah.
The better thing is, we work close to help
We're not
out
trying to play
with
names
at
at
this
this
point.
point. Trying to go on like
Find better
Instagram,
women.
not about that.
I love the diversity perspective. Honestly, I think what we do is just give people a fair look, when it comes down to it.
Well,
Too much. Or like generation Y.
we should, Simeon does not have lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt has the questions that I'm gonna ask.
No, I say, yeah.
But
Yeah.
something about AI makes people happy.
Yeah.
But you can see the and what I love about it is that
We're gonna get started soon, guys.
Sounds great, no problem.
Yeah.
What we can do is we can remove the bias of the applicants, right? And age bias, orientation, any of those. We need to remove all of that so people can be judged on their true skills. Now, what I've found is that, like I said, most of my best employees are not resume employees. Like they're people I know from somebody or met somewhere. I got somebody's card at one time, right? So that is the best kind of skill set that I've seen and worked with. So I will work with you guys however you want to do this.
Yeah.
If you guys can figure out a way to make this a living, I'm all in. Because, I'm at the point in my life now where I get to do this stuff because it's fun. I'm living the dream.
That's awesome, man.
And
Yeah,
so,
you seem very excited and passionate about it, so
it's
really good.
really cool. And this stuff is amazing. And are you at Capital Factory?
For members here.
Okay, so, and am I interrupting?
We're gonna start, as soon as they get back, then we'll
Okay,
start next
okay,
week.
we offline this one.
Who was our, sorry, who was our poster?
It should be 5:15, but as soon as Matt and Chris get back, we'll get it rolling.
That's like, go take a bathroom break.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. We'll wait.
So what I'm working with Capital Factory on is top secret stuff.
Yeah.
Is I'm actually using this technology to align things. So we're going to look at different members and we're going to figure out what they're working on. And then we're going to say, hey, like I should have met you day one, right? So this system would have found that out and would have done it down. I'm using the mentor program a lot because I'm kind of new to lots of aspects of this. And so I found the existing system frustrating. Of course, being a scientist, I'm like, oh, I got a better solution. So I'm also pitching that to them as well. So I think in the future what we'll do is we'll combine this solution and those two solutions together to sort of like this Apple Factory,
Yeah.
charge me.
It sounds right.
I even have more evil going on behind the scenes, but I can go there yet.
Too much evil bubble in here. It's just
Well, the thing is right now is I have so much going on that I have 8 different efforts. I'm going to have to shut down more. But the career AI is really taking off, so I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah.
I think I may have missed what I think is the most important is that long-term relationship with the applicant. So like the day you start working, you can start using the system to track what you've done, create a record as you go forward, because now I've been an engineer for years, for decades, and I've been projects. And I wish I had more details about the cool one. I'm probably one of the only people you've ever met that's actually built a real live railgun, like one that shoots projectile, space, that kind of thing. Yes, that was one of my very first projects, right? And I didn't even remember that until one of my best friends was in a business meeting, which was the coolest business meeting in the world. A new client, and when your friend shows up, he goes, "Oh yeah, you're the railgun guy."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can't beat that. So, but it would have been great if I could track that. So you'll see some of that reflection of what I wish I had as a tool as we go through.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some thoughts on that, I'm sure.
And then from your side, right, you know, you can track the guys, make sure your piece, and you can make sure that they're getting paid fairly. And when you're not getting paid fairly, and they probably need to be placed somewhere, right?
But it can be.
And, right, and you can help with that. So there's going to be all kinds of points of engagement. You guys can do that.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing. Absolutely.
It's great meeting you.
Great meeting you as well.
I'll be really disappointed if you don't drop me an email. So, hey, let's do lunch or something.
Look forward to that.
Remind
very
me
soon.
and-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, and like I said, best of luck to you guys. You're gonna, this will be awesome. So you'll be the first ones out there. So you'll have you're gonna have pretty much a secret weapon here. That may not be as effective next year once the guys figured out that we're doing what we're doing. But you know, let's make them make their algorithms better, more fair. Right?
Awesome.
Thanks so much,
I like what
David.
you're doing. Cool.
I agree. We got some added value to this meetup, so that's pretty awesome, guys. You guys, ready?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay, great. So thank you all for being here. I know it's a really small group. I think that's totally fine.
Added value for you guys.
Yeah.
Take it.
And to be honest, the intimacy of this group, I think, is going to add even more value, primarily because we have two really phenomenal experts here, both approaching from the job search, from resumes, and of course from coding, programming, software development, and really how to hone and develop those skills to gear you up for the job search. And so I think these are two phenomenal brains to put together. And so it's going to be great for you guys to listen. I'm just going to ask them a few questions based on what we prepared to kind of get the juices flowing. It's more of a conversation, rather than just like a strict panel. But of course, since there's only just a few of us here, I would love for everyone to engage. Please ask questions. We're going to do it. We'll have the ability to kind of interject if you like. But we'll run through our questions and then we'll kind of leave a little room at the end just to literally pick their brains. So I think this is a really, really good opportunity for all of us. And heck, I'm really excited to learn myself. These two actually had a podcast where they covered some similar material. And so I'd love to just kind of like see a little bit more and go a little bit more in depth into what they didn't cover last time, but also a little bit of the same material. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves real quick? We'll start with Chris.
Yeah, cool. Hey guys, my name is Chris Villanueva. I am a certified professional resume writer and actually founded Let's Eat Grandma, which is a resume service. And we help people with LinkedIn profiles, cover letters, and resumes. Those are the three main things we do. There's an old joke that says if you take the comma out of Let's Eat Grandma, you're saying you want to eat your grandmother. We don't want to do that. We're not cannibals. But we're kind of playful in that sense, and we really believe in the power of punctuation and writing and things like that. So we're about 4.5 years strong, and look forward to helping you guys out with your resumes.
I'm Matt Landers, I'm co-founder of Covalence, which is an online coding bootcamp where we take people who don't know how to code at all and help them get a job once they graduate. So we've been doing this for about 3 years, and then we paired up with Let's Eat Grandma to help our students find a job once they get out of class.
Yeah, awesome.
And one other note for those of us joining here is we actually are going to be streaming this, so kind of all this content is going to be found online later. We probably also have some people joining us that way too, so hopefully, I don't know if we'll be able to get them to engage with us, but just know that we're being represented here in this group. That's pretty awesome. So guys, honestly, thank you for being here. Like I said, let's just kind of like launch into it. Really, the whole point of this whole meetup is for those who are tech focused and those who specifically are interested in programming, coding.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to start off and launch into what is the best way to take that first step into learning how to code.
Yeah, quick question here.
Go ahead.
Could I actually hear from some of the members of the group here? Because since we are a small group, I want to kind of take advantage and hear about y'all's specific scenario. And I know you tended to be here before, so you know how kind of it works, but that would be great if I hear from you guys.
Please, let's do that, yeah.
Let's start with you, sir.
I'll go ahead and start. My name is Rhys White. I'm currently a master's student at the University of Texas, studying advertising. Coding-wise, I have zero experience at all, but I'm open to learning new things all the time, you know. And I think a lot of that could be used with my degree. But I really came just to try and get a little bit of resume help. Like I had said previously I've had trouble kind of being able to transfer skills that I have because I don't have any real professional experience. So that's something that that I've struggled with and definitely, you know, would like to learn more about. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hello everyone, yes, my name's Brian Lee. I come from a sales background, but I've been holding down a couple of jobs that's not really in my field. Yeah, so I had some experience in programming, but not at a professional level. But I want to focus on something more specialized area, particularly in web development and front end as a beginner, social level position. I find it really difficult to apply for that position because there's just too many people are applying that kind of position. I just wanted to come here and find out, see if I could learn something and probably get change, become a game changer or something like that.
Awesome, man. You're in the right place. Cool.
My name's R.D. Childers. I've got about 20, 30 years in manufacturing engineering, operations management, director of operations, this sort of thing. There's a phenomenal amount of low-hanging fruit in the manufacturing world, especially when you consider vision systems and artificial intelligence and machine learning. But there's a huge gap in the people that control the paychecks to actually implement and buy that sort of stuff, and the people that are aware of how to utilize it. So I'd kind of like to bridge that gap.
Cool.
My name's Mark Nelson. I'm a new member at Let's Eat Grandma. I've been receiving training the past 2 days with Chris and Matt, so it's been an exciting time as far as coding. I mean, I took pre-AP computer science back in high school, so I mean that's the furthest I know of coding. It's pretty cool, but I'm open to learning more, so glad to be here.
Yeah. Guys, we have such a varied amount of experience here with or without coding in different industries, you know, manufacturing, over here to marketing, and back and forth in between, you know, some sales, and Chris and I obviously business development. So I think one thing we can do is definitely just keep an open mind and just learn a lot. It sounds like we're all definitely open to that, so that's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So if y'all want, we can launch into the first question. Just real quick, simple and easy. What's the best way to kind of teach ourselves the skills that most of us in this room are looking to learn, or those of us at home, regarding coding?
Yeah, I think you know, there's a ton of content online for you. You can start for free. Well, I always recommend students that are thinking about taking covalence to go try some of the free stuff out there to make sure that you actually like it and that you want to learn to code, because if you don't like it, it's not going to be fun. You're not going to have a good time. So, but if you do like it, it's a really great career, and it's something that's really rewarding. I think a lot of developers get up and go to work, and they don't really think about the fact that they're going to work, right? Because they just enjoy doing it. It's one of those jobs where it's like, it's not just a job. You can actually use the skills that you have, you know, in your free time too, to build apps that you want, or platforms or sites or whatever it is. So it's a really cool skill to have if you really enjoy it. But I do say go out there, try out the free stuff, and then if you really want to make it your career, then you probably want to take it a step further where you get some help, and that's where we come in, where we can we have instructors and things that are available to you pretty much around the clock, not completely, but and we have a program that's either 12 weeks or 6 months. So if you get to the point where you said, I actually want to make this my career, then that's where we come in. But I really recommend that everybody go and try like Free Code Camp and Code Academy and all the different free resources out there to make sure that it's something that you actually will enjoy doing.
Gotcha. Test the waters a little bit.
Yeah, before you jump in and spend a bunch of money.
Yeah. That being said, and this is more of a personal, curious question here is, you guys set up your timelines. You said, was it 6 weeks or what was it starting?
12 weeks
12 weeks
is the full-time program. That means that you're working, you don't have a job or anything, you're doing it 9 to 5 every day.
Gotcha, okay.
Then the 6 months is you've got a job and you can commit 20 to 30 hours a week to it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit, shift the focus a little bit to resumes here. And so specifically, what's kind of the best way to frame your experience on a resume when you don't necessarily have the experience?
Yeah.
A lot of, I assume a lot of maybe your students might not have all that work experience from the background like you're talking about, but how do you frame it on a resume?
Yeah. I think that's such a good question. That's one of the biggest pain points that a lot of people who are kind of starting off in these entry-level positions, they're trying to frame their resumes when they haven't had the software developer title before in the past. Or they're trying to make a specific career transition from, let's say, restaurant manager to software developer, but how the heck do I word that in a resume that makes it actually make sense? And it's not easy, and Matt knows from working with a lot of students who are coming fresh from his boot camp, it's not always the easiest thing to do to start shooting out your resume and start getting results. So first of all, before we get into the resume aspect, I do want to mention that you really got to use your network in addition to applicant tracking systems as much as possible. Can't emphasize that enough, because if you're just applying through applicant tracking systems, then you're going to make your entry into that first job a lot harder. So the second thing you would do after you refine your job search strategy would be to look more into how the resume is actually tailored. And there are a lot of really good things you can look into in your actual resume to make yourself seem like a good fit for the role. I recommend first and foremost looking closely at the job postings. So as a resume writer, I'm always looking at all the job postings to try to extract what I think the right keywords are. If you attended my keywords talk, you would know that the first thing that I look for to try to integrate is that position title. And that's just because from an Indeed standpoint, a lot of the times these recruiters are quickly typing in like software developer, the actual position title that they're applying for. So finding ways to get creative and integrate that is important. The second thing you want to make sure that you're integrating within a resume by looking at the job postings is nouns common to the position. Are those nouns common? So an example of that might be a hard skill. So all the different programming languages that are being used for searching, that's incredibly important. Soft skills aren't going to be a commonly searched thing, to be honest, when it comes to applicant tracking systems. So these two things, I think, are one of the most important things to integrate. But that doesn't answer the question, like how I don't have the professional experiences, how can I possibly integrate that? So you look to two things first and foremost. The first thing is going to be the list of projects you've worked on. If you're working with a program like Covalence, you're actively working on projects during your time there, so you're going to have a lot of really good specific things to talk about. Anyone who's a software developer should have motivation to go off and do your own projects on the side, paid or not. And I'm a strong advocate for including these types of things on the resume, regardless if they're paid or not, because recruiters just want to see that you're working on something and that it's something that you care about. So projects, talk about those projects, and if it's the only thing you have going for you, try to make it sort of the epicenter of your resume. Education, so education can go a long way. So I don't know if I'd go as far as naming that pre-AP computer science in high school, but I don't know, heck, if it's the only thing you have going for you, I mean, that's just an example. So talk about classes, courses you've taken in college that may be relevant and may pick up certain keywords. Definitely, if Covalence is the most recent thing you have, you might want to make that coding boot camp expand upon that section a little bit more.
Yeah, I think as a developer, you can use your skills anytime. So you should, while you're searching for the job anytime, really, you should be building projects. And any project that you build is a real software project that you can reference on your resume. There's only a few different professions where you can do that. And I think advertising actually is a good one too. Even though you don't have any professional experience, you can start a blog and drive traffic to it and prove that you can build an audience. And that's proof to the employer that you've got the skills to actually perform the job. So, if you're a doctor, you can't go practice surgery or practice medicine without, having some ramifications for that.
Yeah.
But, advertise, especially marketing today with becoming as technical as it is, showing that you can set up the tracking, pixels on your own blog, and build an audience and that kind of thing. It's becoming, there are different skills now that you can prove that you have what it takes to do the job without actually doing it professionally. there's really no difference between you doing a project and you doing it for getting paid for it. I mean, all of it shows that if you're willing to do a project without getting paid for it, to me, that's even more impressive because most people don't work where they don't have to.
Right, yeah.
So you're taking your own time to actually build something.
To actually build something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So in our like resume and like hiring world, like we also love seeing metrics like you're talking about with like driving like users to page or lead acquisition, stuff like that in regards to marketing. Now, can we relate that back to projects within software development? Like, what would be cool for you to see if you were hiring for a developer to see a cool list of accomplishments? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, depending on what kind of job you want, you can build a project around that. If you want to get a job building apps for a company, then you need to build some apps and deploy them to the App Store. It's not that hard. You ought to be able to, I mean, if you have the skills, it's not that hard, right? You ought to be able to do that and show that you can, getting an app from concept to building it into the App Store is a process in itself, and you doing that will prove that you can do it. Having a website, obviously, we tell all of our students to have a personal website with all of your projects listed on it. There's this guy, I always promote his website, it's so freaking good. It's DanielJBailey.com. But he's one of our former students, but his website is phenomenal. Right, he keeps creating more little projects and putting them on his website. Like he has a little weather app, he has a calculator, he has all these little projects that he's done. And that, you know, the whole of all of that just shows how passionate he is about it and how much he really enjoys it. And he's really good at design too, so they're actually kind of pretty. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's really good. And he just got a job at a pretty big tech company in Utah. So
Awesome. Case in point, do you know if it was the website that helped push that or?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he kept doing it. Like he finished the class, and for the next 3 to 4 months, he just kept building little projects. Every 2 to 3 weeks, he'd deploy another project and another project and another project. And that just looks really good on your resume that you can have that passion about what you want to do. I mean, what I tell new developers, and I think that this goes for anybody looking for a job that's never broken in, is that when you're getting a job as a junior level anything, the employer wants to see that you like what you're doing. Right? Any way that you can get that across to them, that you enjoy it, that you love it, that you want to make a career out of this, that's what they want, because they don't expect you to know everything. When they hire a junior level person, they don't expect you to walk in there and start coding day one, or whatever your job is. They just want you to come in there with some hunger and some passion, and to know that you're going to pick it up and move forward with it.
I love that. I want to check out the website after you mentioned
that's
it.
really
It
cool.
sounds awesome.
Love to see just a question posed to Chris. Can you think of any creative ways to kind of demonstrate that hunger and passion for maybe wanting to learn, or maybe being able to learn, or just being, I'd say, yeah.
No, that's a huge question, and one of the things I remember Matt said in our last podcast is like, to be in software development, to be in coding, you need to demonstrate that you want to learn. If you don't want to learn, you're not going to survive at all. And,
The technology changes too fast.
yeah.
You're always learning.
Yeah, and like compare that to a position within accounting, whereas the principles pretty much stay the same. It's very different. So to speak to your question, yes, showing the ability to learn and the desire to learn is going to be huge for a position who's applying, or for a person who's applying for certain positions. I'll be real with you. In the resume, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to show. I mean, there are certain things you can do, but a resume seems to be a little bit more cut and dry, talking about a list of projects you worked on, what were the results of those projects, what are some specific numbers. It is possible. I would recommend possibly showing that within the summary, but I'll be honest, when I'm trying to show passion, when I'm trying to show somebody's innate desire and where their heart is, that's where the cover letter comes into play, and that's where the LinkedIn summary comes into play. Because I think those are two much more personal opportunities to show basically where your heart's at. How many of you guys, are you guys writing cover letters, just out of curiosity? You want to just poll real quick?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and, sorry guys. So I've been applying for internships, like I was saying, for the summer, so
Yeah.
Right now, I'm like at about 15 different internship applications, and I try to tailor that cover letter each time, which can be a little bit taxing, to be honest. It gets a little bit like another cover letter, like, because a lot of them you can't transfer over. I'm doing like a data analytics internship, and then another one is like a brand marketing internship. But so I've got a lot of different cover letters that I'm trying to tailor for each position. But yeah, so I have a lot of cover letters right now.
But you're doing it.
Yeah, I am.
Not
Yeah.
everyone's doing it, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like I've even started recruiter.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yeah.
Definitely. I can definitely see why, like, after you apply to like a lot of positions, like it starts to get like mundane and you're kind of like get a little bit burnt out on it. But
Yeah.
From talking to people, it seems like it's a pretty important step in the process for sure.
Sure. Thanks for facilitating that. Are you
Yeah.
using cover letters? LinkedIn?
Yes. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of hard for me to write cover letters on my, it's just full of potholes on my work experience.
Yeah. So how are you tailoring it to different, or?
Yes, try doing the same things, but it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, okay.
Have you ever covered that subject before? And one meetup before?
The cover letters?
Yeah.
You know, to be honest, we've done resumes, we've done LinkedIn profiles, but cover letters, just like, that's the one we haven't done a meetup for yet.
Yeah, it's
so.
a one-trick pony. That's what I'm trying to do master.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
But the cover letter should just be about you.
Yes.
It's not really about what you've done. It's more like what do you want to do?
Yeah,
Why do you want that job?
Yeah, and showing the connection to the position you're applying for, I think is really important.
Yeah, but you have to be wary. Whoever's going to read the letter, I said, depending on the company's culture, how they react to the letter. You can figure out the psychological analyst.
I think from that perspective about the culture, that you want to be a good culture fit too, right? So you don't want to tailor your cover letter just to fit their culture. You want to write a cover letter that describes who you are. And if you're not a good culture fit, I don't think that you want to go there anyways, right? You want to go somewhere where you fit in too. Because you're just going to get in there and be miserable if it's not. It's kind of like, and a culture fit would be like, if you're going to go work for a bank, you're probably going to wear a tie every day, you're going to go there 8 to 5, it's not be flex time. Is that really what you want? Some people want that. They like that structure, they like the process.
Yeah.
But if you are a flip-flops and shorts guy and, pretty laid back and that kind of stuff, then you may want more of a startup culture.
Yeah, I doubt that's a part of the official dress code for IBM. IBM they tend to be more conservative.
Yeah, it's not all about the dress code. It's just about fitting into the environment. And honestly, as a junior level, whatever, that's probably one of the most important things that an employer is looking for. It's like, will you mesh with the team? Will you get along with them? Because you're going to have to spend a lot of time with the team since you are junior. You don't have the skills. They know that they've got to train you to make you a really productive employee, and they want to be able to. They want their team to want to spend time with you, to groom you and make you better.
How about you? How's your cover letter game?
No, I've got a little generic intro, but I've just been told so many times that nobody reads cover letters. So.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest. I should send this out. I read a podcast called "Do Cover Letters Matter Anymore?" I think that was the name of the title. So it's a big thing. It's like, do people even read cover letters? And my opinion is, like, if a recruiter reads a cover letter and it's very, if it is generic, right, if it's cookie cutter, then they can almost instantly tell that within the first second and kind of skim over it. But one thing I was really surprised after talking with a lot of recruiters is a lot of them aren't even receiving cover letters anymore. And I think that's where the opportunity is being able to stand out because of the fact you attach the cover letter. And it does speak really well to how you might be a good match for that company and why you're in software development. I think the why is one of the biggest things that a lot of people never even think about to include in their job application. So I'm very pro cover letter. So I recommend it, but I just do recommend writing it well. And I think it can be a game changer and push you on the other side of the fence. So, was that a tangent to your question?
No, it's a great tangent. I love it.
Yeah.
I also wanted to weigh in. I know we've had this discussion before, but
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly like what big tech giant that, if y'all listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast, when he was interviewing someone, and I know it's anecdotal and it's not, I don't really know the stats on this, to be perfectly honest, how many recruiters actually read cover letters, but this guy presented a great argument for his company. You know, if this person, it doesn't matter what position they're applying for, you know, junior, senior, not even absolutely related at all to like, you know, the firm's major like core operations, like just any position there. If they don't submit a cover letter, you will toss it out. His reasoning
Toss the
behind
resume out.
toss the entire resume out. Yeah.
Why?
And he doesn't specify it. He doesn't specify, please drop your cover letter. He's just seeing, first of all, do you have the motivation to come up with it? Do you have the care to do it? But number two, and again, this is one particular company, is that communication there to them is so important. Inner office communication. How they submit proposals, how they write their code, whatever it is. And so if they can't formulate a basic argument on their cover letter for why they should be hired, they don't want them there. It's kind of extreme. Y'all probably are hearing this like, whoa. But like, it's one example, and I think it highlights something very important.
So we need to cover about soft skills instead of soft skills are all important.
But also, I think that there's so many people applying to jobs because it's so easy now online that employers want to see that you want to work there. Not that you just want a job, that you want that job. And by you submitting a cover letter, it kind of says, hey, especially if you customize it to that employer.
Yeah.
It says, hey, this person actually wants to work here. Right? Not just throwing it out, you know, shotgunning it out on the internet and seeing what lands. Like, show that you want that specific job.
Yeah.
So how good an orator they had to be on the cover letter? I mean, executive speech. I mean, they had to be like a used car salesman. Like
I don't think you're not really trying to. I think you just want
try
to.
to sell out and you can't do.
You want to say a little bit about you and what you're like. I think it's your opportunity. The resume is what's like your sales pitch. Cover letter is like your more interesting. It's got to be interesting about you. Let the recruiter know a little bit more about what you're like, what it's going to be like working with you, that kind of thing. Just some insight into that. You guys will know this better than I do, but just I think that it shouldn't be just like your resume in paragraph form. It needs to be
Oh, absolutely.
It needs to be you in paragraph form.
Yeah. Most people do their resumes in first person paragraph form, like when they're writing cover letters.
I did this and I went there.
Yeah.
I did that. No. What do you do on the weekends? Like,
Don't be such a bragger. Not interested in your biography for a starter.
talk about the things you're interested in. I mean, that's can go a long way for it.
Yeah. Cool.
I find it interesting, sorry to
No, no.
interject. Sometimes, like, there's been a few that I've applied for, and like, you know, in like the advertising realm, they're all about creativity and whatnot. So they'll, like, sometimes they'll just have like an open text box and say like, give us like a paragraph about yourself and like, and feel free to be creative. Like, I never know like how, you know, laid back and casual I should be in writing this versus like a true cover letter that I've like typed up that sounds like more professional. You know, like when they say things like that, like, is that just free reign to just be like?
Well, I mean, I would go to their website and see.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. Is like I don't want to be like just this like square box like I have done this. Like I'm interested in this position, but then it's like
I would go to their website and see how they talk about themselves.
okay.
Sometimes you'll go to a website and it'll be playful, and that will tell you, hey, I can have a little bit of fun with this. If you go to, you know, a bank's website, it's not going to be super playful. It's going to be, you know, they're serious about what they're
Right.
people's money.
Yeah.
But if you're going to apply to, you know, Uber or something, I'm sure it's different.
I'll kind of make piggyback off that. You apply that towards your other elements, because like I've gotten people saying, hey, should my resume have this sort of contemporary, playful, creative design? But you're applying to, we'll keep using the bank as an example.
And the bank is just a good example because they're so boring.
Yeah. But I was working one-on-one with a person. She was applying to Bumble, and if you guys know Bumble, the dating swiping app, I mean, that's a very, sure, playful, I mean, but it's a very contemporary, modern, edgy type of company. So of course, I'm going to support the fact that your resume is kind of on the edge of your side. You have larger font size, it's got some creative elements. But if she was applying to any other company that wasn't like that, then I would recommend she stays away from that. So, I mean, to just keep hammering home what Matt said, just look close at the company, see how the company talks about themselves, and that can really help you out a lot, I think.
Also, a lot of times you can tell who the recruiter is, who the hiring manager is. Go look them up on LinkedIn and stalk them. So.
Yeah.
I was doing a little bit of that today, and I was actually kind of like, there's a lot. Like if I'm looking at like bigger companies, it's like there's like a senior recruiter or like talent acquisition. Like, is there an easier way to try and like delve into like exactly who?
So when I recently moved to Austin in June, and my girlfriend was trying to get a job out here, what she did is I told her, open up LinkedIn, search for recruiter Austin, and connect to every freaking one that you can, right? And then if they connect to you, send them a message on LinkedIn and say, hey, we can, just strike up a conversation and try to go get coffee with them. Don't say, hey, I'm looking for a job, you got any jobs? But, hey, I'm new to the area, or come up with something and say, hey, I just want to get to know a little bit more about, what you guys do.
Yeah.
Just be interested in what they're doing, and we'll try to meet up or get a phone conversation. And that's how she ended up getting the job. She didn't even have to apply. Right? I mean, you had to apply like formally at some point, but that's a much better way, in my opinion, than just blasting your resume out onto an applicant tracking system.
Yeah, you're going to have a 5%, if you're lucky, 5% response rate on those ATS systems. But versus the way you're doing it's a lot more strategic and targeted, you're going to have a lot better luck. So I'm telling you, we get calls every day of people upset that they're not getting responses back. And they're qualified people like all of you guys who have the experience, who have the skill set, who are awesome. But, they're not getting the responses. Especially if it's your first time getting that job, this is the way to go, hands down.
You go to events like this.
And networking, in other words.
Yeah,
yes.
Networking.
It's not a good word, it's a dirty word, but you're right.
Get in front of people. That's, at the end of the day, humans are hiring you, not some computer system.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder for somebody to turn you down when you're talking to them one-on-one and they gotta respond to you, then your resume just showed up through some system and they can just go, boom, done.
Yeah, sure. That's awesome.
Love where this conversation took us. That is pretty awesome. That's why I love how small the room is, to be honest. I do want to, if we can circle back maybe a little bit to our focal point here, into a little more of the coding heavy stuff. So, the name of this event is Breaking into a Career in Coding. And so I'm sure there's a lot of people, I already heard a couple of people here, I'm sure there's a lot of people who may look at this later and kind of think to themselves, well, I don't really know what's for me. I'm not really sure, I'm interested, I'm open to it, maybe want to learn some skills here. You already suggested earlier, hey, check out some of this free stuff online just to see if you can pick it up. But besides that, I have two kind of back-to-back questions. The first is, what kind of professional, what kind of soft skills, what kind of person, should you be to really excel as a software developer? Who is kind of groomed for that type of role?
I'd say that there's two different kinds of developers. There's, think of the person who's a really big introvert that, codes in the dark and doesn't want to talk to anybody. That's probably your prototypical developer.
That's close to my persona.
But there are truly two different kinds of developers, I would say. It's those people who are just they just want to code, they don't want to talk to anybody, give me my task, let me blow through it. And that's great. We need those kind of developers. But with user experience and UI becoming so much more prevalent in the software that we use, that you're seeing a lot more of the soft skills be imported into software development too, where you need to talk to customers, talk to the business. There's a lot of communication that has to happen besides actual coding. Coming up with requirements, and a lot of that is communicating with not just your development team, but also your UI and UX team, the business side, and a lot of times you have clients and customers that you want to talk to. So, you can highlight a lot of that in your resume too, especially if this is a second career for you, and let's say you were a salesperson or something like that. Everybody who takes the class who their previous career, they were in sales, gets a job before anyone else. It's unbelievable. Just because they're so outgoing, they're willing to strike up that conversation on LinkedIn and go to networking events and stuff like that. So I think that that type of experience on your resume can help a lot as well, not just pure technical.
Totally. Chris, I'd love to pick your brain, ripping off that too, is how do you feel like is the best way to express those kind of soft skills on the resume? You know, if at all, you know, obviously Matt says that you should, but what do you think, how's the best place to do that?
That's a good question, and that's because soft skills aren't easy to tell. They're more easy to show, to be honest. Because I can tell you all day that I am a great communicator, that I'm an honest guy, that I am good at connecting with people, but no one's ever going to believe it unless they've actually met you in person or if you're able to kind of show those skills. So I'm not a really big fan of like listing soft skills because I think from a keywords perspective, it's not going to get you very far with applicant tracking systems. But if at all possible, say you want to show,
Your cover letter can be good for that.
cover letter's good. Yeah, I think it's good. But I'm trying to think from like a resume. I had a client who was trying to show that they, what was it? Diplomatic. I think that was the soft skill that he was going for, that the companies were looking for. So he's trying to show that diplomacy. So what we did was we made a bullet point that it had, you know, diplomatic, like within the bullet point to showcase that. But after that, I wrote a specific project that he worked on where he had to connect with a bunch of different players and jump through hoops and all the politics in order to push that project through and make it happen. I included numbers and I showed how he was able to kind of get through there. So I told a mini story within like a sentence or two, and that's one thing I'd recommend doing in a cover letter and within a resume if you can. But show, don't tell, to summarize that up again.
Great answer. I don't mean to put anyone on the spot here, but we do have a new joiner. If you'd like to, we went around and we talked all about just where we're coming from, our industry, why we're here, what we're looking to learn. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry, I thought it started at 6.
It's okay.
My name's Dana. I am senior at UT Austin, so entering the workforce. I am graduating with a degree in advertising, and I'm here.
You guys don't know each other.
No, I'm assuming we're probably in the same class.
Oh, yeah, we're in the
'cause
same class.
It was a class requirement to like come check out the Capital Factory, so.
Cool.
This one.
Two birds, one stone.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
Glad you're here. We do come from a huge, diverse array of backgrounds here, so it's really cool just to see and learn from two great minds here. So,
Cool.
I had, this is maybe a question that I might know the answer to already, but so you have the soft skills, you have the background, you maybe have what it takes to kind of start, learning to code. You took some free online stuff. You're like, you know what, this would be for me. Can you maybe tell us a little bit how your program is set up? So, what specific languages would you guys want to teach them or convey first, or for people who are just trying to learn themselves, like what languages do you want to learn first within software development?
I mean, what I tell everyone is that it just doesn't matter. Because when you're first starting out, you need to just learn to code. Like you need to learn the fundamentals of coding. Mm-hmm. And you can do that with any language. They're all pretty much the same. I tell people it's like learning to ride a bike. Doesn't matter if it's a BMX, a trek, a giant, whatever, who cares? They all have pedals, they all have wheels, they all have handlebars. Coding is the exact same way. There's variables, loops, conditional statements, etc. So really just pick one and stick with that one. At Covalence we teach JavaScript just because you're going to have to do JavaScript no matter what, because that's the only thing the browser understands. And you can do it on the back end as well. So you can build a whole full stack application in just JavaScript, whereas if you're going to do Ruby or Java or C# or something like that, you're going to also have to learn JavaScript. And when you're learning how to code from the beginning, I think it's a lot easier if you're only learning one language at a time. But just pick one and stick to it. I had one guy come in and he had done like courses online for about 5 or 6 different languages. But he couldn't do anything. But he had done a lot of those like tutorials. But dude, your problem is like you're moving too many places. So. Pick one and run with it. Because once you learn one, switching to another language is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people come out of our course and get a job not doing what we taught them at all. Because it's easy for them to pick up whatever the employer is looking for. We don't teach Ruby at all. We don't even, nothing about it. But one guy was teaching other people Ruby within 6 months of taking the class. Like, he got a job at Florida State.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah. And I guess it's kind of related to a question maybe I had kind of hinted at earlier, was to kind of get a foundational understanding of maybe just pick one and go with it, or maybe a couple or three, just to at least get your head on your shoulders. How long would that take someone normally if they're just doing it by themselves versus if they're maybe trying to go learning with others? What's the kind of time frame as far as like this person definitely is able to like start, actually getting employed, right?
It's so different for everyone. Like my story is I got out of high school, was going to college, got a job just doing like PC tech support stuff, didn't know anything about coding. I got a book, a physical book, because this was way back in the 90s. I'm a lot older than I look. I read through that book, taught myself how to code. My boss saw that I was coding on my computer. I just did it like in my free time. And he said, if you fix my program, I'll make you a developer. So it took me literally 3 weeks. I got a book. I was coding within 3 weeks. But that is not normal way. Don't set that bar for yourself. And I got hired by Microsoft when I was 19, so I never finished college. Went there for 10 years and then ended up starting one company and now this company. So it just varies between everyone, but I've had people come in to the course that have been trying to learn to code for 2 years and just couldn't get over the hump, because there are these just like barriers, these humps that when you get over them, it's like, holy crap. It's like this epiphany that you have, like, oh my God, I can code now.
Yeah.
But getting over that hump is so hard for anyone. But as soon as you do, it's like this light comes on and everything starts to make sense. So really, it's just a matter of, do you need someone or like a group of people to help you get over that, or is it something that you can get through on your own? I think that if you try on your own, it's really hard and you're going to struggle, and if you put it down for a week or two or a month, you lose so much, right? But when you've made this commitment, like I'm going to go to a boot camp, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to do whatever, like you just power through it and you end up getting over it. So a lot of it is just making that commitment and saying, I'm going to do this and making it happen. But it varies for everyone.
Gotcha.
It can be quick, it can be long, but it's definitely more consistent in the amount of time if you go through a program with people and instructors that can help you.
Gotcha. I'm also thinking some people it can take like years before they're just picking things up, putting it back down, picking things up, putting it back down. Maybe like that book you had, or even just other programs you find. We can also gear the conversation specifically towards career transitioners, because I think some of us in the room might be feeling that way, or might have some be lacking the experience you needed to get the job that you want. And so, Chris, maybe you can talk about any clients that you had come to mind when it comes to career transitioners, how you've been able to kind of effectively help them navigate that. We can even say Cinderella stories. They taught themselves in a book, like how to code or do anything.
Yeah.
Is there anything on your mind?
Yeah. I mean, it's the one example, but he's my favorite client we've ever had, Jonathan Treptow. So this was a person in the military who was having a really hard time in his job search. And he actually learned to code through, I forgot what school he went to. He went to, he took some online courses and pretty much taught himself how to code. He was working at very, very, very entry level, like customer service support, like IT tech support, but what he wanted to be was a network security analyst. And the guy was having a really, really tough time. And he was saying that part of it was he was coming from the military, he didn't know how to transition from the military and showcase that. He said age discrimination was at play, and to be honest, the guy wasn't even that old. He was in his mid-30s. But he was just saying that, I don't know, that could have been an issue. So the resume was a big part of it. So what we did was we ended up getting a lot more focused. So showcasing transferable skills. So what were some of those things you did at those customer support positions that might show you're a quick learner? that was one of the things we talked about today. Showcase you're a quick learner and can work and pick things up really quickly. So I talked about some specific projects that Jonathan worked at. We brought up the military because many companies look very favorably coming from the military. So that was one thing I talked about in the cover letter, and it showcased his personality a little bit. But Jonathan went from getting no interviews to he got an interview like the week after we worked with them, and he got another interview and a third one. And one of those interviews ended up turning to a full-time job offer at PwC, which is a Fortune 500 company. And he went from making, I just want to tell you, his salary like quadruple. It's amazing what it can happen if you keep being persistent. I'm not saying like, come to Let's See Grandma, we're going to quadruple your salary. That's not what I'm telling you. But what I'm telling you is
Whatever.
Come to Let's See Grandma on YouTube. So yes, work on your resume, get your strategy better, but also be persistent, because at the end of the day, you're going to get the results. It's just like getting your feet back up and keep trying over and over again.
But I think for career transitioners, it can be even easier sometimes because, for instance, we've had people take the course that had like a degree in finance, and then they learn how to code. Well, there's not that many people that have a degree in finance and that can code.
Good point.
So Bank of America hired this guy right out of the class making over 100K. Hired 2 students because they both had degrees in finance. So your prior industry knowledge can play so heavily into your coding knowledge, because a lot of developers don't really know what they're coding. They're just getting tasks pulled down to them from their Scrum Master, which you'll learn what that is, of what they're supposed to be working on, and they're doing it. But at the end of the day, as far as what the software might do for the company or whatever, they may not even know that much about the industry. So if you have good foundational knowledge about the subject matter that you're coding, that can play heavily into your ability to transition into a career in coding.
I like that, like thinking on the positive, and how it can actually help you. So, yeah.
For certain industries, it can be really valuable.
Yeah, awesome. And you know, we're such an intimate group, and it's only fair because we've been asking everyone here, but if you'd like to actually just kind of introduce yourself and just tell us like what your background is.
Better not be studying advertising. Yeah. Better not be senior studying
That was 2 strikes.
Hey, so I'm Michael Newar. I'm a senior at UT, funny enough, but econ major, and I've been working at this startup called Zen Business that actually started at Capital Factory.
Oh, cool.
And so I'm graduating this May, and I'm kind of juggling whether I want to work there after school or go to other options. So I just thought this would be a good idea to run some ideas about.
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect. You're in the right place. Once again.
Thanks for joining and sharing too.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let me see. You could say, relating to that, we kind of already spoke to it, but we do have a good amount of people who are either in school, coming out of school, or maybe looking to teach themselves. Are there any like creative ways you can think of to frame your either credentials or educational experience that would kind of help you like make you look favorably in the job search? Do you guys think there's anything that you can cover with that?
Phrase your credentials, like how so?
Right, so I know you talked about earlier about education, kind of speaking to, talking about the courses and stuff like that, and listing those courses. Do you recommend that for like everyone?
I don't, and that's because I think as you're getting these professional experiences, like you don't want to like, I'm not calling it watering down, but you don't want to water down your resume with a bunch of stuff, and because like the issue with that is like, we get resumes sometimes that just have every single thing and every credential that everyone has ever had in their history of existence. Mm-hmm. But I don't recommend that because, like, say you do have like your really bread and butter, like winning value proposition that makes you hireable. Maybe it's the fact that you worked on a project and saved a company $20,000 a year or something like that. I don't think that you should water down those things by including everything. I think those things definitely have their place, and especially if you don't have the professional experiences to be clear value proposition to back it up, and we definitely include it. But I mean, it depends on what the credential is. I mean, right, I would rather find out what that one specific thing is, because I mean, like a PMP, I mean, that's pretty huge, and people are definitely looking to hire people who are project management professionals who have that credential. But I don't recommend necessarily including the fact that you got a YouTube course certification. You know what I mean? Like,
The fact that you took programming 101 in college.
yeah.
Not that impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, if it's what you have, the only thing you have going for you, and maybe we can find a way to spin it and make it look awesome. But yeah, I'm not a fan of every little thing. So.
And Matt, hopefully I'm staying on top of myself, but here, at what point does work experience become more important than your education? I think you said for juniors maybe just showing that hunger for wanting to learn is a good start, but at some point you have to kind of rely on your experience, right?
I mean, I think in technology, your education plays very little role into getting a job. Just because technology changes so fast that whatever you learned in school is unlikely to even be relevant anymore. I think that's why coding boot camps have gotten so popular, is that it's 12 weeks to 6 months. There's not enough time for too much to change, but getting a CS degree over the course of 4 years, like a lot of the stuff that was in play when you started is obsolete now. I mean, it's great that you've got the CS degree, you learn these fundamentals of like algorithms and data structures and all the things that you learn there, but you really don't learn to code a lot in a CS degree. So I've hired a lot of people, and if they come just out of college, the one thing that I always ask them is like, what are you coding right now? If all they can tell me are things that they've done in school, then I won't even think about hiring them. They have to be passionate about coding and really love what they're doing. And if they do, then they're doing some kind of side project. We've all had an app idea. And if you have the ability to actually put that app and bring it to life, then you better be coding on it. If you don't have a job especially, right? Like, what else are you doing with your time? So I really want to see that passion out of them, that they're working on things. The education is great that you've got it. I'm glad that you have this fundamental knowledge, but it doesn't really prove to me that you can code or that you're going to be effective in the job. And unfortunately, I think that's the case with a lot of careers these days, and that's why people come out of college not able to get a job.
It's tough sometimes, it really is. But kind of like piggyback on that, because I know there's some seniors in the room here, but definitely use your alumni network whenever you can. We talked about networking. I mean, that is one of the best go-to sources. Like, I got my first job out of college from using that. I happened to know one of the guys in my fraternity who was 4 years ahead of me happened to be the guy who interviewed me. I actually blew the first interview and he didn't give me the job, but I came back. I came back after that the next year and just absolutely knew every question he had and crushed it. And so I ended up getting that really solid internship, which set me up for my first job. So definitely use that network. It's so incredibly important, and there's a lot of anxiety that definitely comes from being in college and wanting to get that first job. But yeah, I'm telling you guys, it's what Matt said exactly. Like, your experience, like, I don't really use what I had in college, but I use what I had in college, but I don't, like, it doesn't transfer as easily as I thought it would. But that network is like money, I'm telling you.
The network is huge.
It's money. Yeah.
That's what I don't have. I have friends that went to college and they can like sleep on somebody's couch in any city. I don't have any friends.
That's not true. You're my friend. Matt.
Quick poll of the group. Have you guys ever used kind of networking to your advantage, whether it's through internships you landed, work experience, anything like that you can speak to, just kind of using your network powerfully?
That's a good question.
I kind of got lucky. Just contact the HR greatly.
Contacting HR directly?
Yeah. No, they tipped me off the job. that was referred by someone else to contact the HR. And I know that person, hey, I can recommend you to contact that person. And that HR, and we thought she doesn't know me directly, but she knows that person who happened to refer me to her. And she was kind of lighting up and threw me off. They apply this job, even though I haven't been posted online. And I got ahead of the line. So I applied.
They say like a lot of these jobs aren't even posted. Like most of the good jobs aren't. You're not going to find them just by Googling and going on Indeed and checking them out.
Sort of like that, yeah.
It's the hidden job market, which is exactly what you're hitting on. Yeah.
A lot of those jobs only exist because of resumes. Like the job doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
They just want to put you in their back pocket so that if something does open up, they can get you up on.
Yeah. So, it's a huge key takeaway from being here, hopefully.
Talk to people.
Talk to people.
Talk to real people.
Yeah.
That is the key.
That is great. We have a network story here too.
I have a pretty cool story.
Yeah, cool.
I have a scholarship through Rodeo Austin. I don't know if you've ever gone to the rodeo in the spring. So a few years ago they invited me to come and just like wave and talk about how their money was going towards students and I gave them a little summary about myself. And afterwards a recruiter came up to me and she gave me her information, and that turned into an internship, and now I have a job lined up with that company after I graduate. So that was
That's great.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So go to rodeos.
Yeah, so crazy.
Yeah, it's like really good fortune. You were in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right place, right time, then you want to add another part of back as well. That's in the syllabus.
And that brings to mind one piece of information that I'd like to relay to you guys. Is just from the resume service perspective. Don't leave your job search up to fortune if you can. When it happens, it's a great thing it is. But don't leave it up to fortune, and really take your job search into your own hands. And so we had a gentleman speak earlier, like before we even came to this room, about how he has this amazing tool, and I'm sure it is amazing, which will help you get past applicant tracking system software, so that you actually get read by a human, right? You actually get to the recruiter or hiring manager, because the software is going to help you do that. I think that's a phenomenal tool, and I think used correctly, could be a game changer, right? Alternatively, the other approach you can take is the human method, and going around and really just doing whatever you can to get your physical resume into the hands of a recruiter, a hiring manager. So kind of doing that, and the story we heard earlier about connecting with people on LinkedIn, just all the typing in recruiters, Austin, connecting, sending a follow-up message, not being needy, not being like, hey, give me that job, please. Like they don't know you, they really can't vouch for you, but you say, hey, I would love to have a conversation with you and learn more about you. I think that was a fantastic example of taking your job search in your own hands. And so a similar thing is, you always just want to do whatever you can to make that happen. So I just think that's great.
Sweet. I don't know if you missed that. His girlfriend got a job that way. Just networking that did. That's incredible. It's a story.
LinkedIn can be used powerfully.
Yeah.
If we can tie it, and I think we have room for some more questions here.
That's what you already passed all those interviews. You still have to contend with the whiteboarding, the whiteboarding interview, and also you'll be filled with a bunch of questions and the algorithm. How often is that the case?
I would say for a junior level developer, it's not that often. Sometimes you get some jerks that just want to put you through the ringer. It depends on the ego of the person interviewing. Or sometimes I just want to do it to watch you sweat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
you're kind of funny.
You might recall this infamous a weird question that Google asked. You know what they're talking about.
well, the Microsoft, Google's, Apple's, those are they're gonna ask you weird questions. I got asked the weirdest questions in a Microsoft interview, like why is a manhole round? What's another one? To have a candle that burns for an hour, how do I know when 30 minutes are up? Just weird questions. So,
you don't have to answer any. Let's just get it specifically right. They just want to know your thought process.
Right, exactly. And that's really what the whiteboard is about most of the time too. It's just, they don't necessarily expect you to know the answer, but they want to at least see you like logically work through a possible solution. So the main thing is don't panic and just put your best foot forward. I don't think that they just want to see how you think.
Yeah, but also they also the whiteboarding, they also want to see how you code as well.
Yeah, sometimes they'll make you code on the whiteboard. I actually had to do that, but hopefully not too many.
Maybe back in your heyday era, we won't talk about today right now. They still do?
I haven't seen anybody do that.
Yeah.
Not in a long time. I mean, it would be pretty difficult.
Is there something to do there with the company want to cut down the time or something like that? HR time, something like that?
No, the interviews will take forever. They're 4 to 8 hours once you get into them. Like, you're going to be at the place for a long time and talk to a lot of people. Usually.
I'm going to talk about the part of the interview, like the one thing they just want
It's usually a small part of the interview. Yeah, 20, 30 minutes of your 4 hours, maybe. They might bring a developer in to ask you a few questions, have you whiteboard something, but.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there are possibly interview prep books that are helpful in this realm that he's talking about. Is that something you come across or recommend?
I don't usually recommend books, but there's these sites called hackerrank.com, codewars.com. They have little algorithm kind of brain teasers that you can do with coding, like little things, and a lot of the algorithms and stuff that you'll learn in those are the things you might get asked to whiteboard. So doing those can definitely help. Do them like right before you're interviewing because you won't remember any of it probably.
Yeah. Well, let's say it's just for a program language you get to pick. So like.
I usually don't care what language you pick. Yeah, you can usually choose. But a lot of times now you'll get a coding interview. A lot of times now for getting the software, you'll get a coding interview. So they might, before you come into your in-person interview, send you a little like problem to do and code it. It might take you a couple hours. And then when you go to your interview, you'll review your code together. And they want you to walk through what were you thinking, why did you do it this way. That I like a lot better. Coding from memory on a whiteboard is not going to tell you a whole lot about how good that developer is.
Yeah.
Chris, I was hoping, I know as a certified professional resume writer, maybe interviews aren't your expertise, your forte, but on that train, do you have any like advice for the behavioral component of interviews? Just how to come off as, as being a competent professional at all?
Well, actually, so I personally don't. We have somebody in our team who's an expert at interviews, so contact him. He'll be the ones like give you mock interview stuff. That's not really me, but I will speak from just experience, knowing how badly I blew that first interview. Like he asked me this most simple question, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was very ill prepared. Didn't even put any thought to like how I could be connected to this company, and I just I looked at him. I was like, there was like a pause. He's like, it's okay, you can take your time. I was like, I did this and this, and like he knew the answer was so bad, and at that point I knew the interview was over, so I lost all my confidence. So that just wholeheartedly speaks to the lack of preparation I had during that interview. So that lack of preparation led to lack of confidence, and the confidence is really one really big thing people want to see in an interview. And I really think a lot of that does come from preparation. So coming back the next year, I came up with a list of all the questions I thought he was going to ask, and I literally sat in a room for 1 hour. I had a piece of paper and I just read it out loud. And then 30 minutes later, it was actually right before the interview I did it, and he asked the questions, and I naturally was able to go and answer all the questions that I knew he was going to ask. And so that's what not only led to that position, but it was an internship that was like one level higher. It wasn't an ops position, it was a corporate level position, which I wasn't expecting. So preparation, Matt, if it comes down to it, that's really what it is. And listening to a bunch of podcasts, there are a lot of good podcasts on how to improve your interview skills. I could send you guys these resources, but a lot of them say the same thing. It's that prep that's really important.
the prep will make you less nervous. And the nerves are what's going to kill the interview for you.
Yeah.
Because you can't be yourself, they can't get to know who you are, you won't answer the questions coherently.
Yeah.
So sitting in front of a mirror, practicing talking to humans, like in that manner too of them quizzing you. One thing that I would always do from a coding standpoint too is make sure that I ask the person questions that I knew they wouldn't know the answer to, and I want to hear them say, I don't know. Because so many developers will try to BS their way through everything, and I never want to hire those people. I want people who are okay saying, you know what, I don't know.
I think that's just
It shows a lot of confidence. You're able to say, hey, I don't know, but I can figure it out.
Yeah.
Not just, I don't know, I quit, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what? Stack Overflow, that's the answer.
Yeah, you still better get at least 1 or 2 questions right.
I mean, I hope they can answer some questions.
I don't know everything.
Yeah, you don't just use I don't know throughout the whole interview.
Yeah, you still just be able to say it, duh, anyway. You don't answer any of the questions correctly.
One of the reasons that I made people get to that point too was that I was interviewing for a consulting position. So I didn't want people going into the client and lying, essentially, like BSing their way through it to a client, and then that could ruin the relationship with the client. So that was part of it.
Just like a specific interview question that I've heard a couple of times, I just kind of want to hear y'all's opinion on it, is if they ask you, like, what's your biggest strength and weakness, like, how do you answer that question? Because I recently, like, had an interview just for, like, a part-time gig, and I kind of stumbled over that question a little bit, just because, like, you don't want to, like, say a weakness that's, like, going to be a deal breaker, but at the same time, you don't want to, like,
oh yeah, that concerns me.
make a stock answer of, like, oh, I work too hard, or, like, you know. Like,
Yeah, I think you got to think about the position, right? Like, what are you going to be doing in that position? So you know you're going to get that question because I feel like that's like,
It's classic.
yeah, like 75% of your interviews are going to have that question. So you need to look at the job description and say, what kind of soft skill is it okay for me not to have? And
Don't
then,
say not a quick learner.
and then use,
right.
like if your position, for instance, here's the difference between like a junior developer and a senior developer, or like an architect, technical architect. A junior developer, I want them to be very like task oriented and an executor. Like you get your task, you code, you're done. You get your task, you code, you're done. So execution has to be like a big part of what you're really good at. That I like to get tasks and I like to get them done. But for an architect, that's not really the case. You're more of like this visionary and thinking, and you're maybe not an executor. So, you know, those two positions, one of them you could say I'm an executor, really amazing. And an architect could say I'm really terrible at executing. Don't give me a bunch of tasks to put in, right? Just think of it in that manner.
Can you get an architect or UI job without starting out as a base coder? Or without having spent, I mean, if you like take some classes or something, but that your first job would be.
No, architect's gonna be like, when you get
Senior level.
experience, yeah.
And same thing with UI folks?
No, you can get UI. No, architect just is more of, you're not coding anymore at that point per se. You know how to code, but you're not getting into the code in depth. You're more of like, all right, we want to build this software product, right? What do we do? What frameworks are we going to use? What languages? How's it all going to interconnect together? How are we going to do security and all that kind of stuff? And there's no way that without having experience coding that you could ever even start to put that solution together.
So, question, I look at, I've had actually had enough people tell me as well that I should consider a career in UI because I do a lot of documentation work and a lot of communicating between one group and another group, be it manufacturing and the design engineer folks, or design engineer folks in accounting, or marketing, or field service engineers, and writing documentation and kind of bridging those gaps and writing processes.
I would call that more on the user experience side. I differentiate the two, user experience and UI. To me, UI is like a graphics designer.
Okay.
Like you're gonna do
User experience. And
yeah,
how
user
that's
experience would be, what does the software do? How does the user interact with it? That kind of stuff. And yeah, that would be, there's a lot of user experience boot camps out there if that's something that you think you're interested in, I would definitely look at it. But you can go straight into that for sure.
With a good resume.
With a solid
With
resume.
good resumes and skills.
You posted any the forums, blog with any information we just covered so far?
They have a bunch of stuff.
So what was
I know it.
They have a bunch of blogs,
Places.
information material.
about resume, LinkedIn, cover letters? That's our bread and butter.
Yeah, see, it's covered, but I'm talking about like, on his side,
On what?
a technical side.
So from us, we're just the resume service. We work with all different industries. We did do a podcast together on a very similar topic on getting into coding. So there's that resource. I think you're the one who might have some more content from the technical side.
We have content in the course that we have. So every Friday we do a career webinar where we're giving you that kind of stuff. So we're bringing in developers that have jobs and alumni that have gone through the interview process. So throughout the course, you're getting exposure to all that content, but we don't have it, read.
Okay, so do you have a URL?
No, that's what I mean. Like it's part of our course. Yeah. But we can probably make some of it available on our YouTube channel. So we have a Covalence YouTube channel. If you go there, there's a bunch of free stuff out there. You can see my face on there more than you want to, probably. Yeah, we can put more career stuff out there for sure.
Yeah, so I have a question for you, Matt. I was wondering, how many recruits do you receive that don't have much experience going in with coding? And do you get people like
That's
that?
pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would say a lot. Well, hopefully they've done some free stuff online and they know what HTML and CSS are and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them don't know
Okay.
anything.
And I mean, how many of them do you say survive your boot camp?
If they do the boot camp, very few people drop out. Because we have pre-work too that you got to do before you start. So it's not like you pay and then you don't know if you're going to be able to make it. If you get through the pre-work, you're going to be able to make it. Right? So we do pre-qualify. We don't want people to start and not finish. That would be it's not in our best interest.
What's the cost?
We have 3 different programs. One, you just go at your own pace. That's just $200 a month, cancel anytime. You get access to all of our curriculum, our Slack channel, our Discord, where you can chat with us and ask questions. And we have 5 live webinars every day that you can join and ask questions to an instructor. We have one that's a 6-month program. So that one, you just do it, and whenever you're done, you're done. If you finish it in 4 weeks, great.
Is 4 weeks realistic?
No, it's just, I'm just saying.
How many hours?
If you're doing it on your own, it's probably going to take you 9 to 12 months, I would say.
How many hours does that constitute?
So if you do the full-time program, it's over 400 contact hours in 12 weeks. So it's about 400 to 500 hours that you got to go through. Most of it you can code too. That's why you can't really rush through it in 4 weeks. There's a lot to code, a lot of labs, a lot of projects, that kind of stuff. You have a 6-month program where you get a one-on-one session with your instructor every week. That's the extra thing you get. That's like $400 a month for a year. And then we have the 12-week program, which is just fully immersive, 9 to 5 every day. That's $9,500 for the 12 weeks. And then we had somebody else that was going to be here tonight, which is Skills Fund, which is an Austin-based company, and they give out loans to people that do boot camps specifically. And they work with a lot of different boot camps, but they work with us too.
And can you give us a demographic of your student in the boot camp school?
Yeah, they're 22 to 35 years old. They like to browse Reddit and play games.
I
have to do our advertising, so
Yeah.
I have to do
I
it.
love that. That's awesome.
What's your job background?
They don't have to have a job background. Most of them work at GameStop or Best Buy, but or a comic store. That's actually very common with a comic store.
Comic store? Very common geek?
Because they're nerds.
I could see it.
Yeah.
Makes
A lot of
sense.
them are nerds. Most of them are dudes. We do try to get more girls in there, which we have like 25% of our graduates are girls, which is higher than CS is 17%.
It's higher than the average, just going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's usually 21, 22, 35. Yeah, nerds. Usually nerds. But really the non-nerds do the best as far as getting a job.
The salespeople, the outgoing.
Yeah.
That you're talking about.
And
Nerds can be outgoing though.
I actually think that coding is going to become a requirement for marketing, because you really can't even get an ad running to do remarketing without knowing a little bit of coding. You got to get a pixel on your site,
Yes.
and then you got conversion tracking, and it's not simple, unfortunately. It's very complex.
Yeah, I think it's also a nice segue to, we just have a few questions left here. Is just, what's the best way to get in contact with you two? Just to find out more about what you offer, or just what you can help out with, and stuff like that. So, Chris, if you want to.
Yeah, best way to get in contact, of course, come talk to me after this. Love to see about your specific job scenario and what's holding you back with your resume. Otherwise, go check out let'seatgrandma.com. You can submit your resume and we'll score it for free, let you know how we think your content phrasing design is. And yes, that's our website, let'seatgrandma.com. It's yellow. And then you can schedule a call with us and we'll get it started. So.
Same with us, covalence.io. Schedule a call and talk to one of the instructors and see if it's right for you. But I think that every one of these, y'all need to go to like a HB or something and make them make a cake that's grandma, so that we can eat grandma.
That would go against our mission vision statement.
Currently, there's a British pop band, Let's Eat Grandma.
That's also true.
Yeah. They don't have a comma, so they're really dark and weird. So yeah.
And the last thing I'll say before we open up to any more questions here is just like, is there any other parting advice you'd like to give to the room? You could say in regards to having persistence or wanting to learn, or if you just want to find out more about coding, like any advice in that realm, and Chris for creative transitioners perhaps, but we'll start with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think you want to code, there's plenty of resources online that I would say to go check out before you call us. I'd rather you go out there and see if it's something that you actually want to do. I mean, if you want to call us, just talk to us, that's fine. But I think that if you look around, you do a job search of what jobs are in demand, especially in Austin. I mean, tech jobs are just, you can't fill them. You can't fill them. Like, it's just, I own a company and I can't hire people. I literally started this company because I couldn't hire people from my other company. When I left Microsoft, I started a company called Platypi, which is plural for platypus. Everybody always wants to know what it is.
And I love that.
It was a software company, and we couldn't hire developers. We just couldn't find them. So I spun up this little training program. It was 9 weeks at the time, I think. Taught it in September 2015. We hired 3 people out of that first class, and I didn't really think about covalence after that. I was doing the other company. And then, we used to have in-person classes, and then these other cities were coming to me wanting to know how they could replicate what we had done in Birmingham, and Chattanooga, and Nashville, and Fort Lauderdale, and Mobile. And I was like, holy crap, there's something to this thing. I should probably pay attention to it. But that being said, is that these boot camps are popping up because the demand is so freaking high for technology. Developers, data scientists, QA analysts, project managers, you just can't fill the roles fast enough. So if you think you have an interest, it doesn't have to be coding either. There's a lot of jobs in technology, but coding gives you this just deeper understanding of what you would be doing. So if you're going to be a QA analyst or a tester or something, knowing how to code will help you understand the problems with the software better, even if you're not coding on a day-to-day basis. So, it's a great industry. It changed my life. And I think that if you have a passion for it, you should definitely go for it. Make it happen.
Do y'all see discrimination for folks that are like 50 and over?
I've had students come through that are older that are just
well, it could
don't see too many, say, you see too many programming there, let's say, near their near retirement age. Do they just move up to management service, or they just move to different?
You can go to any enterprise around here and go down into the basement where the mainframes are, and it will be like a nursing home. And there's people are trying to hire COBOL developers and RPG, a bunch of different these old programming languages, and you can make a ton of money if you go learn that. So if you don't really care that much about like the new cool stuff, and you just want to make like $200K a year, you go learn COBOL. Because all those people are about to retire, and there's no one to backfill their job.
Yeah, there's like a company, let's say a tech company, for example, Facebook, let's say Google, they target some people in their 20, maybe up to the mid-30s.
That's not true though.
Like I said, like Zuckerberg, for example, let's say, if they say young people are just better than compared to seniors, it's just that way.
You can say that, but if you look at their architects and stuff, they're going to be 40, 50 years old.
Yeah, they will, and Colorado will catch up with them, I know.
Yeah, I mean, Zuckerberg will be 40 one day, don't change his mind. But if you look at the guy who created like TypeScript, which is one of the most popular languages right now, he's been doing this since the 80s. He's probably 60. But he's a badass, making like, who knows what.
TypeScript?
TypeScript.
Yeah, it's a derivative of JavaScript, like tile.
It compiles down to JavaScript, but it makes JavaScript less terrible. We teach it in our course, but
You made mention of jobs that are requiring programming skills. Is that some part of y'all's boot camp?
no. I mean, just if that's something, if you know you want to get into tech, then there's a lot of different options that aren't necessarily just coding. Like UX.
How do you find those options?
I mean, I would go just on the job boards and search for just see what's out there. You know? But I mean, you'll find UX designers, business analysts, project managers. There's a whole lot of people involved in building software that isn't necessarily good coding too, especially on the support side as well.
Yeah, my biggest obstacle is people look at manufacturing engineering and they don't know what the hell that is. It's such a narrow.
But you probably have a lot of skills that you could transfer over, especially if you've done that cross-group communication. You might want to look at business analyst or project manager, and that could be your foot in the door to something like that, where you wouldn't even need to take a course because you probably already have the skills. You just got to get somebody to give you a chance to get in there.
Chris, final parting advice?
Final parting advice. Get your resume down by Let's See Your Numbers. Honestly, it's really about, if you're not getting the results, refine your strategy, keep trying. I mean, you'll end up getting the results. I wholeheartedly believe that. It may take time. You may be wanting to bash your head against the computer because you're just frustrated after applying. But refine your strategy, and we just did a podcast today about kind of the things that hold you back from applying and moving on. So I'll definitely drop that link in the email to all of you guys, but sometimes we have these irrational fears that are stopping us. It's like the fear of getting rejected from the job application. So it's going to take work to kind of persist and move past those things, but recognize like what's logical versus not logical when applying, and just keep doing it, I'm telling you. And eventually you'll end up with something you like. Maybe you're dealing with, maybe you do feel like it is tough to make that transition from engineering, and maybe it's just time to look and see how you can refine your strategy to end up getting results. Manufacturing even more, right? So.
I actually had a guy this last interview, he's like, there are just, and experience going back and forth to China and swapping, transitioning products and whatnot. He was like, there are not many people with your skill set. I was like, yeah, either people want you like, oh shit, we gotta get this guy, or,
right.
or what the fuck?
Right.
But you have a lot of skills that
Oh, yeah.
translate.
Yeah,
for sure.
If I get in an interview,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
It's slam dunk, no
Yeah.
matter what I've done.
Yeah. I don't want to get too like tangential with you, but like I'm already cogs are smelling here, but like I think you can write on this board. I don't care.
That's it.
There's not even a marker. Okay, just imagine my finger's a marker. Okay, imagine here. So the Venn diagram, like when I'm trying to come up with the best things to include on a resume and I'm transferring positions, you got to think about it in terms of the Venn diagram. So on one circle, you have all of the experiences you've had as a manufacturing engineer. And on the other circle, you have a collection of the different types of job postings you're applying for. And this is where the intersection of that diagram, I would start to fill in exactly what's going to end up on the resume. And it's not an easy thing to do sometimes, but for you, I'm sure you do have the skill set, things that can transfer over. But like as much as possible, when I'm writing resumes, like that's the stuff that ends up working and helping people out. So
Just take the other stuff off.
yeah, scrape that stuff off because it, like I said, it waters it down and it detracts from the other stuff. So
We'll do two really cool things. Number one, we'll open up to, I think we've all asked a good amount of questions, but I mean, if anyone has any other questions they'd like to ask, kind of on their mind, now's a great time. We can finish off with that.
Yeah. Do you have any of your sources that can point us to like some sort of like a mentor or like a big brother, big sister? I'm not talking about TV reality TV show. Also, do you have that kind of sources thing there? That you can
So a mentor?
Yeah, some kind of mentorship outside of your program, but as a part of the external resources. You know, like, is there any other meetup?
Oh, meetups? There's like a Learn to Code meetup here. There's a lot of meetups if you want to learn to code. For sure.
I already learned how to do the concept myself. I'm already learning the specific technology
Like what kind of mentorship are you looking for?
I would say that.
Coding related, like technical?
Yes.
Yeah, that's tough. You just gotta ask somebody that you know that's a developer to take you under their wing.
Just wonder if you know anything. I'm just asking in case you know anything.
I don't specifically know of anything like that. That'd be cool though.
Establish a relationship and learn to code meetup. Eventually, some of those folks are going to learn to code.
I mean, you could probably find a mentor there. Presumably, there are people at these Learn to Code meetups that actually know how to code, so the other people can learn. So those people could probably be your mentor.
And what again is secondhand opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I would go to some meetups and talk to people and see if there's anybody there that's just willing to take you under their wing. I don't know if like a formal way to do
Or
it.
like some sort of like apprenticeship, you know, like a certain blue collar job, they have an apprenticeship program.
Yeah, those are getting more and more popular. I don't know if there's many here. I know
in
other cities they've made it a pretty big thing. But.
Yeah, what if there's an apprenticeship for a tech industry equivalent?
There are in other cities, like we've worked with Nashville, they have a pretty big apprenticeship IT program. I don't know what there is in Austin, actually.
Not certain either.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah.
I have a quick one. It's not necessarily related to job seeking. I hope that's all right. I'm entering the sales department at a huge tech company, like 75 to 80% technical developers and jobs like that. And I just wonder if you have any advice for me about, as a soft skills person, how I can communicate best. What do I need to prepare myself for? Things like that.
You're going to be a salesperson?
Yeah.
And you're selling a software product?
Ads.
Hmm?
Selling ads. Ad space.
Oh, ad space. For their product? Yeah. I don't know that it'll be that difficult for you. Like, they're not, that little place, yeah. I don't think that I would actually say that they're not 75 to 80% developed.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
No, I would say it's probably more like 30 or 40. You'd be surprised at how much support goes around a software company, right? When I was at Microsoft, like 20% maybe coded. Just there's so much more to it, right? There's support, there's education components and training, and HR, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine, I promise.
All right.
They'll also have, when do you start?
July.
Yeah. They'll have a big training program for you coming in. You come right out of college, right? Yeah. It'll be good. You'll like it. I wouldn't worry too much about it. They'll set you up for success. Especially a company that size. If it was a smaller company, it might be different, but you know, they've done this a few times.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I have a quick question actually. So if I do end up working for that startup I described, side, so more customer support, more sales, a little bit of marketing.
So we have a lot of people go through our lowest level tier and then have their employer pay for it. So you can see they have like education credits that you can use to get to do training. And a lot of times we have people that do that, they finish the course and then they get a job in the same company, like coding or doing something else too. So it can always just make you more valuable over time if that's something that you want to do. But I would definitely say no matter what, even if you're not going to code or whatnot, just always be improving your skills however you can. And I think advertising is become a good one that you can do on the side too, like have a blog, have an account that you're promoting, like build an audience. That's going to show a lot of commitment and dedication to your next employer that you had a job and you still did this other thing. And you'll learn a lot that way too, because you'll have to do everything.
Okay, thanks.
Good question. Anyone else? Cool. Awesome. Well, you guys are a really engaged group, so really thank you for being here. We'll do one more thing. I love the fact one of the benefits of Meetup for me is just genuine human connections here in this room. Not only do we get to like sap all of these great knowledge trees over here and really just get that for ourselves, be able to engage with them, but also hopefully maybe we met someone in this room that could help us out with a very fortunate experience that we had over here, you know, at the rodeo or whatever. You never know who knows who in the circle and who they know. And so I really like this opportunity for us to just spend just a few minutes connecting. I'll start out with one of my favorite things to do at the end of these meetups. Does everyone have the LinkedIn app on their phone? Hopefully I'm not being exclusive with anyone who doesn't have some sort of smartphone or doesn't have a phone with them. If you pull it up and you go to turn your Bluetooth on, we can do a LinkedIn friend finding party. I forget the actual name of it.
What do you do?
This is not LinkedIn endorsement, by the way. I don't work for them.
It's pretty epic.
I've never done that.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So,
Find nearby.
yeah, so go to the little friends icon on the bottom left, where the two people shadows. Go find nearby. On the top middle, it's a little radar. And then turn your Bluetooth on, and I see Michael and Matt. Fantastic opportunity just to say hello, and you know.
Is there a way I can do it from my computer? Like I was trying to log into my LinkedIn on my phone today, but I forgot my password and my email. So I'm gonna have to like take some time to get that figured out.
Hit the My Network at the top.
Yeah. I have my Bluetooth on all this guy.
And then go to. I think it's exclusive for
the phone.
Yeah, but definitely still get some names here because again, yeah.
I'll just try it.
I like it. That's a good idea.
I think your friends icon on the bottom.
I see some people don't have their picture on here.
Yeah.
Lesson number 1.
Is that a no-no?
Yeah, like I'm sure
Which
picture.
Yes.
That sounds like a no.
Some people hide it. Some people make their picture only visible privately, but I think it
I
looks.
think on LinkedIn, like get a professional headshot done. Put it on there. Don't put your, you know, the one with your cat in the background or whatever.
So no, I've never.
Michael Newer.
Yeah.
Michael Newer, why don't you have a picture so we can figure out who you are?
Yeah, see,
Oh, wow.
a little LinkedIn shaving here.
It's easy on.
Let's all.
LinkedIn shaming.
Let's all.
It's a setting, yeah.
What a party! Wow. Boom.
Mark Nelson.
I didn't know you could do that.
That's what we already.
Bad shaking.
Awesome.
Bad shaking.
privacy settings set to.
I just did it on my phone.
I got
so-
you.
There you go.
Popped up right
I've
away.
been,
There you are.
I want to be in the party.
You turn this meetup into a party, Matt.
There we go. See, that's what I'm all about. There you go, Rhys. Yeah, just a tiny little note, but if you don't have your photo showing up, go to your settings, public settings, and make sure it's shared to more than just your network. If you're comfortable with that, I don't see, it's not too much.
On your LinkedIn profile, you ought to be able to have it public.
Yeah.
And not be embarrassed.
Yes. Right. Yeah. That's very easy.
Like, it's not Facebook. It's like your resume you're just putting out there. And it's only going to do you favors over time.
Yeah. Just shaved the mustache yesterday.
I know, but it looks so weird.
I know. Yeah. I feel naked.
Who the hell is that guy?
I feel yeah.
I like the mustache, I just wanted you to know.
And we all did, trust me. We
Bring it back.
Okay, give me a couple months, I'll be back. Go.
Yeah, some of you gotta come back.
Also, Vila was rocking it,
Awesome. Well, honestly, and thank you guys so much for attending here. Thank you for being engaged. I really appreciate it. And I hope this isn't the last time we'll talk. So please come to more things, connect with us. And yeah, let's just get connected with us and continue to help each other whenever possible. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
Awesome. That's right. Come talk to us too if you have any questions.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't sign it either.
Is there a way we can sign, is there a way to sign?
Without an applicant
We're close to
trust
yes, sending our professor on things.
Already have like bunting.
Yeah, we're all.
Okay. I think I just read the thing. You can just,
If you did a second.
I just took a picture.
I did too.
I think that's really all you have to do.
Not like shameless plug, but I think it actually might work, is you go to Austin Job Seekers on meetup.com.
See,
The account is broken.
Yeah, I
On
did the
Meetup.
same thing.
Did you?
I called today, that's when I
like
it was at a different
And it's
time.
listed as 67.
I've like had a sibling.
It was,
thought,
okay.
I think
That was in my end, so my apologies.
Right.
Yeah.
Started at 5.
So, the thing about it is,
Yeah. One last thing you can do besides pictures and apparently really important questions, you can go to the front desk and they will validate parking just to show that you're
Yeah, it would be
here.
like,
No, no,
alright,
no.
maybe
Okay.
you unscrew the applicant tracking system a little bit.
The combination of all those things, I think will be.
Yeah.
Maybe, alright,
It's
yeah.
really cool they make out, is it just this building?
It's just this.
But it'd be worth it because then
This is our professor.
you know, with this missing lecture, and
Maybe
maybe something really
My mom
important.
told me the same thing.
Yeah.
Something.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I like,
Glad y'all do this one.
Yeah.
I think that there is
But probably keep on the
Seems like the
lookout.
most relevant for us.
Yeah, something I would make mention, folks.
A lot of,
Yeah.
Something I would make mention is to crop your LinkedIn photos
as
a
me
little
hiring.
bit smaller than, tighter than you might normally do like a headshot
Talk
for
about
a
what they did, so you can see their passion.
like an actor's job or
Give them
something,
an opportunity.
because it's all on thumbnails,
so it's almost like a pre-interview.
and it's really easy for people to do like
Yeah,
a
so
little
they-
backdrop or whatnot, but it really needs to be just your face, just your head,
A lot of times you're
for
really
those tiny little thumbnails.
So you can measure.
That's a good idea.
Right.
Little video.
I agree. I think I'm a bad example of that because I go from torso to head, but you know,
Is this a business idea?
I totally
It
agree
doesn't
with that.
have to be like a metaphor, so just.
I was gonna say a lot of people that show up for our meetups as Austin Job Seekers,
Seems like
slash a lot of our clients tend to
old
be,
antiquated way.
we speak a lot to career
Yeah, it's like
transitioners
you wanna
who
just-
have industry experience
How
and
can I-
are making a switch or aren't having the
Really
success in
get
their
the
current
resume
job search.
experience,
But we
but
do
like
deal with a lot of like graduate
1 to 2
students, a lot of students as well.
bullet points.
Probably like
I
one
wanna
minute,
say
because the
that,
same things there,
Sage
how do you
Pro, which is
leverage
the
your
internship
education
program that we
to actually
hired,
land a job, for what you need experience for,
They made
whatever.
all their interns.
It's kind of a big loop, but I'm glad you two are finding stuff, and no doubt you will as well soon. So that's really good, yeah. Keep plugged in with us if you want to learn more. Later on in your career too.
So you work specifically with.
I don't know if we job seekers, but I know that was.
Yeah, so we do events on site, on one side, but we also do, we will write those resumes and LinkedIn and other job search documents. We actually work with one-on-one with clients to help them apply.
Maybe, I'm not sure. Is there another event in here?
For the interview.
Quite possibly. Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll be vacating the room, but thank you guys so much. There's another event after us, but.
Oh, cool.
We do the
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah, cool, Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
Oh, great.
If anyone needs to validate parking slash get, you know, that they were here.
Oh,
Okay.
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 Picture.
All right.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
That was great,
Yeah,
That
for
was-
sure.
It was really good, a lot of
Good luck with
good.
everything and finishing and
Thank you, yeah, I actually sent my resume to, let's see, Grandma.
Oh, nice.
While we were here.
Well, that was quick.
Yeah, I know, I'm on top of it right now.
Yeah. I'm actually going to